Why do cultural practices diffuse across groups? Imagine a world where every community sticks to its own customs and never shares. It would be pretty dull, right? But in reality, cultures are always mixing and changing. So why do some practices spread from one group to another? Well, it all comes down to how humans interact. When people trade goods, migrate, or even go to war, they come into contact with others. These interactions create chances for ideas, beliefs, and ways of doing things to travel between groups. For example, when traders move along routes like the Silk Road, they don't just exchange silk and spices. They also share languages, religious beliefs, art styles, and new tools. Migration is another big factor. When people move to new places, they bring their customs with them, and those practices can influence local ways of life. Sometimes, a group might force their culture onto another through conquest or colonization. This often results in big changes for the people being dominated. There's also something called stimulus diffusion. That's when a core idea from one culture is adopted, but the specific practice might be changed or rejected. Cultural diffusion happens in many ways. When two neighboring groups trade or marry, that's direct diffusion. When ideas spread through middlemen or across long distances without direct contact, that's indirect diffusion. Sometimes, one culture imposes its ways on another, which is forced diffusion. And when a concept from one culture inspires a new, adapted version in another, that's stimulus diffusion. How open a society is to new ideas, how useful or prestigious the new practices seem, and the history of their interactions all influence how quickly and widely practices spread. From a cultural anthropology point of view, diffusion shows us that cultures are not static. They grow and change by borrowing from each other. This process helps explain how languages, foods, clothing styles, and technologies become common around the world. It also shows us that cultural norms and daily routines are always shifting, shaped by ongoing exchanges and adaptations. So, in essence, cultural practices spread because humans are naturally social and curious, always sharing and learning from each other to survive and thrive in a changing world.